Hello, everybody, and welcome to Celtic Now and Forever podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. This week's podcast is really about obviously Scott Brown's leaving. We've not really spoken about it. It's been kind of quiet in the media the last few days. So basically just a podcast about the rebuild with Scott Brown leaving, obviously managers, and we'll just have a debate about obviously what we think is going to be happening. Joining me this week, obviously Robert's working, so Big Rabs will come in this week. We're joined by Claire and Jerry. Claire, how's things?
Good, yeah.
How's it been with obviously no Celtic recently, international football?
And you know, I had high hopes for Scotland and thought, right, they've qualified, they might actually play better, but oh God, they just don't fail to disappoint me, honestly.
And obviously yourself, Jerry, obviously, again with Claire, there's not a lot of football to talk about. We've spoken before we come on, it's been quite dull, but Scotland gives a bit of debate during the week with that kind of result, not very good.
Well, I never seen the Israel game. By all means,
Did they miss much?
No, by all means, a draw was probably best result. But I seen most of the Austria game. They played well in parts. Should have had a penalty. But I think if they get a good result tomorrow, as in you'd rather Denmark beat Austria tomorrow, gives us a chance for second. We beat, obviously, hopefully beat the Faroes. Puts us into second position, and that's us already played Austria. You just need to obviously maybe need to try and beat Denmark at home, but apart from that, you should look to pick up maximum points for the other games, definitely.
I know a lot of people are making a bag on international football, but I'm hoping we can get to Euros, the lockdown, because I'm buzzing to go. I think my flight's booked, so I'm absolutely buzzing to go if we can go. But
right.
I think it's a bit of distraction as well, with maybe how poor we've been. It's maybe something for us Celtic fans if you're into Scotland. It's a bit of positivity going to the summer, which I think Jerry's obviously good to look forward to.
Well, there's quite a few, obviously, Celtic players in the squad, ex-Celtic players nucleus of the team. A few years ago, actually, you had maybe 5 or 6 guys in it playing at Celtic at one point. Obviously, that was oddity of Celtic, with Celtic winning trebles every year. They were Scotland. They're putting the performance into Scotland, and they've obviously gradually get better and better. But I do think the positivity this year, if you're a Celtic fan, has been Scotland. I'm looking forward to watching Scotland games. I know you don't say that.
That's a bad time when you're saying that.
I know you don't say that very, very often, but it's, listen, they've never been there for what, 21 year, 22 year, 23 year, whatever it is.
1998, I think the last one was.
So we're, as you say, hopefully it goes ahead and there are at least some fans in, because it'll be a good 3 games. Hopefully more than 3, but I think it'll be 3 good competitive games we've got. So I think it's England, Czech Republic, and Croatia. So you're looking at Croatia's, I think they're number 3rd in the world.
They'll be really, really tough to get a result against.
It'll be a hard game. Czech Republic have played here and there. It's a bit like Israel, we need to play them every year.
Just remember Slavia Prague are a Czech team, so think about how they played and take that into it.
Aye, and then you've obviously England, who we should have beat at Hampden 4 years ago. They 2 Lee Griffiths. Free kicks, that was that. So we should take a lot of positives into the summer, definitely.
And obviously back to Celtic, as I say, Claire, Scott Brown. There was rumours about him leaving, but we didn't really. Me personally, I didn't take any notice of it, because even these days I don't really take notice of rumours, even when it comes to managers and players until they're signed. But for me, it was a bit of oh shit, right, okay, where do we go for here? What's your kind of thoughts when you first heard the news about him leaving?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, it was reminiscent of when Henrik left. Honestly, I was quite gutted. I'm not gonna, I was disappointed, but I struggled to wonder why, in a way. But now that I've heard a wee bit more, I mean, you get the rumours that he got offered 2 years at Aberdeen, went back to us, asked for 2 years, and we wouldn't give him it. And it's like, right, okay, he clearly thinks he's got some playing capacity for the next 2 years. He's been with the club for 14 years or whatever it is he's been here for, and we can't offer him a 2-year deal. I mean, get a grip. I struggle to wonder why. I know that he was doing his coaching badges or starting his coaching badges or whatever he was doing. So I guess this is his probably way of saying, this is my starting point. And he's not going to do a John Kennedy and make an arse of it. He's going to a different team to build himself up, and he might be welcome back in 5, 10, I don't know, few years' time, come back and I'll say, right, in you come, because you've proved yourself as a touchwood, a decent manager or a decent coach. But I mean, you'll probably agree with me that the hole that he's going to leave is a hell of a lot bigger than I think what people are realising. I mean, you hear about the people saying, oh, Callum McGregor will be captain, it'll be fine. It's like, Callum McGregor's no character like Scott. I mean, he's getting better, he's getting better character, but he's no Scott Brown. I mean, he's not going to scream and call. I mean, there's a video kicking about on Facebook of Scott Brown calling Ayer a shitebag for going off injured in one game a couple of years ago. And it's like, he's not going to do that. But you need somebody that's going to do that. And I just think it's a really, really big gap in that team. So
no, as I says, I'll speak about it later, but my thoughts on him. But can I echo everything I've said? I do agree that if it was a 2-year deal, then why couldn't it be maybe a player coach deal maybe, and then say, listen, we'll give you just a year deal as a coach to try and get experience. But I can understand other fans' view that maybe they're saying, why give him it if he's only really going to be playing 10, 50 games? But it's what he does maybe on the after park and what he does maybe during the full week without you're playing. I think Jerry as well, since he came in, I know he had a slow start to his sex there, Jerry, but in general, I think he's going to, I know people say, maybe me saying irreplaceable is not the word to use, but for what he does, for me, I think it's a dying breed these days to get players like him. And I think it's going to be, unless they've got a plan, I like to think they've got a replacement lined up. But the fact, we don't know if he spoke to a manager, we don't know what's happening there. But for me, Jerry, it's as Claire said, it's going to leave a big hole at Celtic.
Oh, as you just said there, arguably it could leave a bigger hole off the park. As you said, you don't know in that for Lennoxtown on Monday to the huddle on a Saturday afternoon. You don't know this guy's obviously, he's got everybody in line. You can see him in the park, as Claire mentioned there, the one by Ayer. I've seen it. Not so much this year, he's sort of I think he's just kind of ran out of batteries this year. He's just ran out of, there's nothing there anymore. Whereas it was like a wee bulldog, wasn't he? Barking and terror and crunching into tackles, and that just freed up players like McGregor, Christie, etc. But I think, as you say, Claire, I think the whole, I don't think a lot of people realise how big a miss this guy's going to be for Celtic. Definitely.
Personality's huge, I think. That's a big thing.
I think it's not just that on the park, it's obviously after park, and obviously at the moment, I think one maybe, it's not an excuse, but this season as well, all the new players, they can't go for a night out, they can't go for coffees, they can't go for team bonding. So, and he might be, I think, supposedly what we've heard is he's a guy, as soon as somebody signs, they all go out, they all do stuff, and they all kind of go together, and they all speak about, like, you need to win at Celtic, you need to do this, you need to do that. And of course, Claire, that must be hard, because obviously at the start of the season there was restrictions, they couldn't mingle, they could only train, they're away again. It must be hard for obviously him as a captain to do his maybe job after park to get these new players in the team and kind of get to know the squad.
Yeah, it's not been easy, I think, for any team, and I don't think he can probably demonstrate the full capacity of his personality and the way that he is as a captain. You're right. I think that I hate making excuses for Celtic this season, because my God, they've been awful. But I'm not blaming COVID, because we're a professional football team. We should be able to perform well. But I think so many players lost their bottle, and Brown, the frustration he must have probably felt from where he's standing, going, oh my God, like, what? He knows what the 10 meant. McGregor knew to a point what the 10 meant, but there's players in that team that hadn't probably, hand on heart, probably didn't have a clue. And how's he meant to educate, motivate, do anything when there are all these restrictions? But maybe Brown thought he didn't want to leave Celtic, not as a not a failure, he never would, but he didn't maybe want to have a all right season or a wee average season and then leave. Maybe he thought, right, I might as well go now. And I mean, say he did become a player coach at us and he didn't do too well, that could just, it's kind of similar to what Larson said. Larson didn't want to come back as a coach too soon, didn't want to fail, didn't want to disappoint all the fans that like idolised him and stuff. So maybe it's a similar thing with Brown, I don't know.
I think that's similar as well. I think Paul Lambert said it as well, Jerry, that he didn't want to get back into that fistball again. And
he didn't want to ruin his relationship with the Celtic or whatever it was.
I think Lambert says that. He said, I don't want to get back into that fistball with Glasgow and I don't want to ruin my legacy at Celtic. He said, I had a good time, had a good relationship with fans, I done well, so why did I ruin it? And I think, Jerry, I can maybe see, maybe that could be in Scott Brown's thinking that he goes anew. And I think personally will come back eventually. I think it's set in stone. It's very hard to be a club for that long a time and don't have affiliation again. There'll always be rumours of him coming back, I think, Jerry.
Aye, and I hope he gets a send off he deserves by us going to win the Scottish Cup this year. I think that's the only time we've got left to play for now. So hopefully, if he gets that, then that's 23 trophies for any guy at any level. We spoke about it at a fair, whether you play under 11s, over 45s, you name it. Any guy to win 23 trophies in their career. You look at these guys that play down south that don't even win the League Cup down there. I mean, look at a guy like the quality of Harry Kane. He's never lifted a trophy. Look at Scott Brown's. It's absolutely staggering how much success this guy's won, and to get up every day and be that consistent for the last 7-8 years, constantly wanting to win every single game of football it's eventually going to take its toll. And unfortunately for us, it's been this season. But it's not just him; it's took its toll on a lot of players that they've just ran out of steam, so to speak. Whether it be, as Cliff was saying earlier, don't want to make excuses for Celtic this year. We've made millions and millions of it, but they've just run out of gas out of all the seasons. And I do firmly believe if there were 60,000 fans in there every week, we would be sitting here now celebrating 10 in a row. I do firmly believe that would get us there the line. I think that's a big miss for Celtic this year.
I've said it, I know, mate. I definitely agree with you. A lot of kind of neutral pundits and, well, I say neutral pundits, no much of them are neutral, but the press and then some of the neutral journalists and even neutral managers are all saying when you go to Celtic Park, it's nothing each. The fans get right behind them at Rangers after 10-15 minutes, no playing well. It's you and it's quite toxic. So, but again, as you say, you don't want to make too much excuses. But obviously, he signed Clare for about £4.4 million, as you say, 2007. He's won 22 trophies, over 600 appearances. He's obviously one of Celtic's most decorated players. He's the best captain since I've been alive. I can't think of anybody's been better. I know I'm only 27, 28 coming up, but he's just everything about Celtic. It'll be hard, as you say, when I grew up seeing Larson, but I knew I grew up with Brown. It's you know it's going to come to an end sometime, but when you see them ending, you're like, it's hard to take when you see, because I was looking back at the videos today and I'm like, I'm actually quite sad he's leaving now. It doesn't really sink in until you watch the videos and how he plays, and it is a bit of a blow.
Well, do you know what? I can't say a bad word about the guy, and I'm not gonna. And I think, fair enough. I'm saying good luck at Aberdeen, but just don't do it against us. But I noticed, I think it was for a couple of days maybe after this all came that he was leaving, the Griffiths to Aberdeen thing started sniffing about, and I think it was either Jerry or Robert, I forget, one of these were saying about how Griffiths is, best striker in Scotland and all the rest of it, and we all agreed on that, how good he was. And I got me thinking, Brown's influence on him will be the reason he leaves and gets out of this goldfish bowl and probably screws his head on and has probably a decent season. And it's like, that's back to the influence that Brown does have. I mean, I'm not saying Aberdeen are going to come and poach all these players that can't get a game for us. But, for somebody like Griffiths, I think Brown is probably the best person to be Goldfish Bowl. I'm not saying he's not going to get abuse up there, but he's at a slightly smaller scale and probably slightly easier for him to manage, maybe from a mental health point of view.
No, I agree. I think if Griffiths went to Aberdeen, he would take Aberdeen to a different level when it comes to up front. I think he's still you don't want, as much as mental health, we've all spoken, a massive thing, but there's only so much I think the fans can make excuses, and I think he's maybe going to go when it comes to rebuild. I totally agree. I've said it as well. I think he's finishing wise, he's the best finisher in Scotland. He's left fit. It's a joke. He's left fit. I just think again he's just not been fit this season, and there's only so much you can rely on somebody like that, Jerry. But I think if Scott Brown, and again talking about Scott Brown going to Aberdeen, if he goes to Aberdeen, I don't think the Aberdeen fans realise how lucky they are getting him. He's maybe only 35. He's not completely finished. He'll probably still their best player. He'll give guys like McCrory, Ferguson, he'll give them a bit of good influence. And if you're maybe Ferguson and McCrory and you're thinking about moving, or whoever it is at Aberdeen, you might think, I might stay for a year and learn off this guy, because he'll bring a winning mentality, he'll drive him forward in training. And I know for a fact he'll step up the standard of Aberdeen within a few weeks, because that's just the guy he is.
Well, and notoriously Aberdeen as a club are always big, strong, physical, get in about you, blah blah blah. So he'll go in there and he'll just bolster that up even more. Like he says there, the boys like McCrory, Ferguson, even guys who don't even play in that position, they'll automatically get a jag off them. They'll like, for talk's sake, he goes and wins a 50-50, that just lifts the whole team. You know what I mean? Many times you've seen it at Parkhead, Champions League games or whatever. It's just, you can actually see it. If you actually watch him, he's just got that, pinpoint at a guy, you're getting it, smash him right away, full stadium, after about 3 minutes. For talk's sake, Barcelona, Neymar, that's it, bang, whole stadium's up the row, that's it, the fans are going, you got there. For talk's sakes, you know who they're going to play first game, and it's a certainty. It's going to be Rangers at Pittodrie. So there's kick off right away. You'll just go in and go right. You'll just automatically get a buzz about the place with a guy like that at your stadium. And I was just reading before I came on there. Actually on and seen a few comments from Aberdeen fans, and as you says, they don't realise actually what they're getting here. They think it's because he came to Celtic, blah blah blah, but they actually don't realise that the experience this guy's won more trophies than Aberdeen's won their whole history. You know what I mean?
It's crazy,
it's a fact. So you can't argue with that. You can't argue with this guy.
I'm the same as you on Twitter. When it's signed, you look at the fact that Aberdeen Twitter put it up and they say Scotland star Scott Brown. They didn't mention Celtic. It was the ex-Scotland captain Scott Brown. And then I think Celtic says, I can't remember what Celtic's Twitter was, but I'm like, that's a bit petty, you know what I mean? No one mentioned Celtic, but I seen some of the comments, and exactly what you say is they were like, oh, we don't like him, and why are we signing him? Now, he's Celtic's fucking captain. He's still playing at a decent. I thought even at the game against Rangers, I thought he played really well against Rangers. I thought he played well. So it's not like he's been massively downgrading. He's still playing at a decent level. He's still fit. Because for me, he could have still signed at Celtic, maybe played 15 games, he's still been about the club. So it's not like he's massively regressing as a player. And I think I don't agree with Jerry there, Claire. I don't think Aberdeen fans realise what they're getting.
No, they don't. He's one of the players, you hate him when he plays against you, but my God, you're lucky if you've got him in your team. I mean, I couldn't help but laugh when I seen that Shea Logan left pretty quickly. I was laughing at that. That kind of gave me a certain kick, because obviously they're not exactly the best of pals. But you know what I mean? No, like, you play against Scott Brown, it's so difficult. But when he plays for you, you're lucky. And I think they've not got a clue what they've got. They think they're getting a player that's 35 and past, but you're getting probably one of the best players in Scottish football. And like what Jerry said, they get Rangers in the first game of the season. He's going to go right for Morelos. I don't care who you are. Like, I mean, that's exactly, he is going to have that tunnel vision, and he's always going to have that. Even when he's a manager, I bet he'll be a wee bit like Keane probably at that age. I think he's still going to have that fire.
Because even when you talk about Roy Keane, a lot of Celtic fans say he was a failure. I thought Roy Keane was alright, Celtic, in that game. I've always said, see that game at Ibrox. I don't know if you can remember the game at Ibrox where he absolutely bossed Barry Ferguson. He was unbelievable. He was brilliant. And I think a lot of fans, again, I'd probably say it's similar. Maybe obviously Roy Keane came to Man United, but it's maybe a similar degree. He's maybe doing a wee bit of downgrade, but the two of them are still, at their age, are still fantastic players. And I agree, I don't think Aberdeen realise what they're getting, especially when it comes to just about the place, because he's only going to be, might only be in a few weeks' time he's running about Aberdeen, and he'll bring a winning mentality. It's a driving force, especially the coaching side of it, because I know you mentioned Clary's done a bit of coaching already with the development squad a few years ago, but he's obviously, I think Sherry, as you say, it's just the experience and the winning mentality he'll bring to Aberdeen. It's something you can't buy in football these days, and as you say, winning trophies. Me and you have played football, won trophies. It's the best thing doing football. You score goals and you can play well games, but winning trophies that's what you play football for.
Oh, 100%. Right, if you'd asked Scott Brown the question 14 years ago when he signed, how many trophies do you think you'll win? He would never, in his wildest dreams, say 22, 4 consistent trebles. He was Celtic captain for 10, 11 years of that. Played over 100 games in Europe, you know what I mean? Obviously, the Scotland thing, he didn't get to a European Championship or a World Cup, right? But he had a semi-decent Scotland career, you would probably say as well. He's played against the biggest players in the world, you know what I mean? So, as it all goes back to the Aberdeen thing, it's the fans and everybody associated with the club should be happy. See, if I was an Aberdeen fan, and I've watched Celtic over the years, and I'm going, geez, as Claire said, by God, I want him on my team. No playing against them. You know what I mean? There's certain guys where, you know, you look at the team sheet and you go, Scott Brown's playing, you go, that's me automatically in for a hard game. You know what I mean? Whereas if you see him on the bench, you feel more relaxed, or he's no in the squad at all. But he'll definitely improve Aberdeen. Even at 35, 36, he'll definitely, even not so much on the park, but after the park, he'll even, they keep saying he's 35, 36, he'll actually bring a freshness to Aberdeen as well, because it's like a new way of, he'll have a new way of playing and blah blah blah. And I think he knows the guy Glass as well quite well, Stephen Glass. So I think he'll work alongside Tim. You know what I mean? And then eventually, I think you'll probably see it more and more into the year. He'll kind of dwindle off into the coaching side, definitely.
Because I think as well, like we've said, but I don't Aberdeen realise the guy they're getting. Because I obviously before I came on, I was watching stuff, and there was a game against Aberdeen we played. I don't know if you can remember it. I think it won 2-1 or something. It was with Rodgers, and he made an absolute unbelievable tackle right outside their D, and he took the ball, he played, he passed it, and he scored right. And I'm like, people don't realise how good that guy actually is at playing football. I think Rangers fans are all, and Scottish fans in general, I don't think they realise Scotland's actually a very good football player. He can maybe a wee bit of a hot head, and obviously through the years he mellowed out, and he was the captain, and he bought into the role, and he was tailor-made for the role. By the looks at it now, he was tailor-made for the role, but I think Claire, he's actually a very good football player, not just a captain. I think people don't realise, maybe we know how good he is because we see it on a weekly basis, but because it's Celtic and it's Scott Brown, people don't actually give him credit for how good a footballer he actually is.
I'm not going to say he's, super.
He's all amazing, but
he's old school. He's old school good. Like he does what he needs to do very, very well, and I think that's what makes him so good. And you look at what's his face. You look at Sorrow. Do you know what I mean? You can tell he's been You can tell Sorrow's been watching him, and you can tell that they've obviously spent. I don't know if they've trained together or they've done stuff or worked together, whatever. You can see that he's obviously trying to amalgamate. Even one of the games Sorrow played a few weeks ago, and he was like, the way he mops up and the way he sweeps up in front of the defence and tackles, it's just mirrors what Brown does. And it's like, right, okay, you're maybe you're not quite there yet, but you're almost there. And Scott Brown's just, I don't think he's super skillful, but I think he did the good thing. He did what he needed to do well. And it's like, Rugby Park winner, always sticks in my head, obviously. You know, the win, the goals are all kind of like the last minute goals that he did. Obviously, have made a big difference. But yeah, I think he's done the good things and he's done what he had to do at Celtic and more, a lot more. Like what Jerry said, you asked him when he signed, would you win 22 trophies? Not a fucking chance. He'd have probably said no way. But then I don't think that counted for Rangers being so, you know, off the boil, shall we say. But no, he's a very good footballer, and I think, you know, that knowledge, like again what Jerry said, brings it into Aberdeen and says, you know, teaches them kind of his mentality. You'll see a big improvement in Aberdeen. And I think it'll be quite a quick improvement as well.
Aye, definitely. I think Aberdeen, as we've said, it'll be, as you say, Jerry, it'll bring a, obviously it'll be like a new signing, because it's a new signing, obviously part of the coaching staff. It's a different mentality. But as you mentioned about the goals, the goal at Rugby Park, that was obviously, that was maybe, I think maybe some fans were giving Rodgers stick, because even though he left when about that time, as much as we loved, well, I loved Rodgers and the dust is settled, and I look back now, it was phenomenal what he done for us. The football was getting a wee bit tiny boring, it was getting a bit, but we were still winning games, and that just, as you say, Claire, that the celebration after that, it was like you won the league. You knew that that's us. The chances clap up now is not going to hurt him, and it was just that just put my Scott Brown. It was, he never say die attitude, Jerry, and I think it's something I feel from this season, because there's only so much he can do. Again, like you're saying, at age of 35, he's no Scott Brown at 25 anymore. He's not as energetic. He needs guys like your McGregors to help him, the experienced guys, and that, I think maybe see us, the fact that we've no got your guys like your Lustigs about anymore, the experienced guys to help him. It was I know you get McGregor there, but the real experienced players, it's really only Scott Brown. I know you've got Forrest there, but the guys who are going to drive you, I know you've got Ayer, but Ayer's no full experience yet, so you kind of feel like, as Claire says, Sorrell's running about like a wee headless chicken, trying his best. He's playing well, but you need somebody. I think he's not had the help really about him than he should have.
Aye, was that the goal you're talking about when Dembele got sent off? Bear hugged him into the stand and he gets sent off for it. Aye. Well, he scored a similar one last year. If you remember it, before lockdown against Hamilton. They scored in 90 minutes. He scored in 93 minutes, and you're talking about how him being not amazing, but a good player. He actually jumped by 2 or 3 and put it by the goalie far side, if I remember right. Last minute again, even though it was against Hamilton, but it felt as if what a win that was at home. You know, didn't play well, but he stepped up for the goal. But going back on experienced players, I don't know if I mentioned it before, I probably have. In the summer, we should have kept Craig Gordon for a year, Lustig for a year, and Johnny Hayes for a year. Just stay, guys, get his other line for the 10, and obviously just in and around the team. When they caused any harm, but obviously we let the 3 of them go. But I'm not saying it would have made a massive difference, but as you're saying, it was basically, he must have been looking at the dressing room going, that's a big chunk of the experienced guys away. Aye, all right, he's got Ayer, still very raw, in my opinion. I don't think McGregor's that type of player to get in hustle bustle, guys. He's more technically gifted on the ball. So you keep saying Sorrell. I think if this guy gets maybe a good obviously if he's there next year, if the guy, if whoever comes in, sees him as a big part of the team, hopefully he gets a start and plays maybe up to Christmas, give him a big chunk of the season. Let him see how I believe he'll get better and better. Him and Tumble in the middle of the park, but I do believe that Brown must have just looked about the dressing room and went, this team's already revolving the foot. I'm sort of the last man standing, all right. It didn't help me Forrest get injured and all this year. I mean, he would have been he's been a massive blow for us as well. Just shows you the hole he's left. Not really had MD fill that gap, whether it be left or right. I've not really had MD that's excited as this year. I mean, we Frimpong, we've spoken about going to the byline and then couldn't cross the road. You know what I mean? But he's left now, but we've not had that wee spark. We've relied on Eddie to too much, who's had a bad season but still scored 20 odd goals. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
when you're talking about the experience players at Lustig, Lustig's still playing with Sweden, so it's not like he's totally finished. You know what I mean? He's still playing with Sweden, so I don't know if that was a board decision. We don't know. Obviously, we all know Lauderdale's very shrewd. He's a tight man with his money, and so we don't know if that was Lenny's decision. Was it the recruitment? Was it the board? We don't know, but it was a strange one. The fact that we didn't bring a replacement in either. I know we had El Hamid there and Frimpong, but for me, Frimpong right back, I don't know what he was. I still don't know what he is. El Hamid
pulled back and just let him run. That's what it was like.
El Hamid, just I know he was homesick. I thought he was a belter when he first came in, injury prone. And you've got John Kenny on loan, again, a loan player. So again, I know he had a bad game against Rangers, but he's been all right. So you may get attached to him, he's going to go away. So you're going to have to sign 2 right backs because Welsh is not good enough. He's going to boot the picture. So you need to sign at least 2 right backs in the summer.
And you don't want to play it there because that takes him away for the middle of the park for centre defence.
The left back, Greg Taylor for me is a backup. If that people have got opinions on Greg Taylor, I don't think he's good enough to take us forward. It's just my opinion. Waxall, I don't know. I don't know if maybe a better manager comes in, and he might, because when his first 2 games he was brilliant for us, and then I think just like the rest of the team he's regressed. He played well, and people are all saying it's only 1 game, but he did play well against Rangers. But again, you might need to sign another left back at least. So you've let Johnny Hayes go, you've not replaced him. You let Simnovic go a while ago before that, free agent.
There's another guy.
Didn't replace him. You've only signed 1 centre back. You signed Duffy. No done well. So why did no go out in January? And I know they spoke about the guy Ben Davis, but you've had. It's like we spoke about with William during the week as well. Why does it take so long for Celtic to get a deal done? They knew they had to sign a winger because Forrest was going to be for months. Didn't sign anybody. They knew that Davis, he was there. They wanted him. Why not sign him? We need a centre back. We're missing a few pieces, I think, to the jigsaw. I think because we're going to sell players now, so we probably defer new defence. I think we do. We don't know if Ayer's going to stay. I like to think if a new manager comes in before the summer, they can maybe try and persuade him and maybe build a defence with him. I don't know, or because you're declared, but what we're going through the new money could be tight. They might need to sell him for whatever it is. They're talking £8 million Newcastle. Stick it up your arse. That's £8 million he's left in boot. So for me, you're probably
Ayer's only bets El Capitano. That's the way he'll stay. CBC, look, you're the main man, captain. Give what you want. If no, he says right, bye. I think that's the only way you'll keep him, unless it's a big blockbuster name comes in and goes, I want to work with this guy. I want to see. This guy's got a bit of savvy about him. You know what I mean? But hopefully, fingers crossed, he does, because he just says you could build, including a goalkeeper, a back 5 with him being the main man in the middle.
Because I think he's definitely clear. Talk about obviously I think he's definitely. People might say he's, as we've spoken before we came on, he's had a bit of a bomb scare for Norway, but in general for Celtic this year, he's been decent. He's saved us a few tackles, and he's been maybe a best to a bad bunch this season. But I think he's only going to get better. And as Jerry says, depending on who comes in, obviously new coaching staff, new training methods, they could change the full club. It could become even better.
I agree with everything you're saying. I don't want to put a damp squib on it, but I do think he's got to leave. I think he wants to play in the Premiership, and he's made no secret of that. And realistically speaking, I agree with what Jerry said. You're probably going to need a new back 5 if you look at it. I mean, I think Kennedy, there was something in the paper with Kennedy. Jerry, I don't know if you've seen this. I think he said something about Welsh. And he was talking about Welsh and saying how good his distribution was. And I read that and I'm like, fuck off. He's a defender. He needs to defend. Like, stop talking about his distribution. Like, that bugged the life at me. And I think Welsh has been all right. I wouldn't, I'm not getting any more excited about that. But, I mean, I do think Ayer's going to go. I do not think $8 million is enough money for him. No. They can go and sing for that. And Newcastle are probably going to get relegated.
We'll think about it.
I mean, how much would you think we should be asking for?
See if he goes down south. it's an open checkbook for me.
Aye.
You guys doing there going for 40 million?
Worth more than Edward?
Couldn't even. Well, he see if Celtic would have won the 10 in a row this year, and he would have been, his confidence went through the roof. He'd have probably left January. But as I say again, open checkbook, he could have went for excess of 25 million. I think Edward's unbelievable. Honestly, I thought we had a good one in Dembele, but Edwards, see, I've never seen a guy, even going back as far as last, I've never seen a guy have such a good touch as Edward. You could literally be 5 yards for him and smash it off him, and he'll trap it. As if he's got Velcro stuck to his boots. I
do think they're both away though. I think they're both going realistically. I mean, let's not, unless it's an offy big manager.
Well, that's go back to the block. It's going to be a blockbuster name for me. Then it's going to be or else. I'm the same boat as you, Claire. That I think the two of them will go, and I think they'll both of them go down south.
I think that's.
Would you blame them though? Would you blame any of them?
But see, the thing for me is like you said about Jerry, an open checkbook. Kieran Tierney at the time, 25 mil. We all thought that was all right. See, looking back now, it's
45, 50 million.
Disgusting. The guys for me is the best left back in that league. I know Luke Shaw's played well this year. You've got Robertson. For me, Tierney's better than Robertson, without a shadow of a doubt. That game for Scotland as well. It was. Robertson's a fantastic. Robertson is world class, but when he comes for to Scotland, he's not the same player. But Tierney's the same player all the time. That goal against was it Man U? That ball in
West Brom.
West Brom. But that's what we've seen for years.
Aye.
And we see when you try to explain to these English fans, you don't realise it was the exact same with Van Dijk and then within 6 months he's are talking £80 million. I think, Claire, we need to start. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with the board, but Celtic, I know Edouard's maybe only got a year left, his contract came up, and I think Ayers maybe only got 2 years after that. But you've got to start saying, listen, are they going to keep them for a year or you're going to get the right value? Because you've got to sell them for what they're worth, I personally feel.
Ultimately, we are I don't want to say we're a selling club, really, really bad thing to say, but yeah, we are when it comes to teams in England or Italy or Spain or wherever. And you could easily probably get 25 million, 30 million for him. Same with Edward, obviously. Christie can go, that's the issues there. But, know the point. We could make a lot of money from selling a few of our decent players. And as long as we spend that money wisely to replace them, that's critical. Like, if we say you sell Aya and say you sell Edward and he brings Ayeti through as Edward's replacement and doesn't he sign another striker and Griffiths leaves and goes wherever he's going. No, sorry. No, thank you. But you need to replace them with somebody that's just as, either has the potential or is just as good. That Declan Gallagher thing's never really went to bed since January. That's still floating about. I don't know if that will happen. I don't know if I don't know how I rate him. I've not seen enough of him.
I know he's had a few good games for Scotland, but
Motherwell are dog shit.
I don't know if it's what you think it, Jerry, but see, for me, if we're going to sign a guy who's down near the bottom of the SPL, conceding goals every week, and we're going to sign for a rebuild and we want to get in the Champions League, if that's the way we're going to go, mate, I'm dreading next season because we've got to, I know money could be tight, but as we've spoken about, we're going to, because I think Jack Kennedy's never going to go for 2 million, right? So right away, that's your manager fee pipe probably, right? So I might go, just say realistically, just say it goes for 15. Aguilar goes for 15, right? There's £30 million. Ellen Rousse's wages, if he signs a game, we don't know. His wages are going away. Duffy's wages are going away. Laxalt's going away wages. Ralston's wages are going away. We don't know if Barkas is going to go on loan. We don't know if he's going to get sold. So, Ayeti, we don't know what's going to happen with him. There's going to be maybe youth guys getting out on loan. So, there's going to be money lying there. So, and plus, they're still sitting with £19 million in the bank, So, it's not like we've not got money. So, for me, we've got to start, as much as winning the league's a priority, we need to qualify next year and do well in Europe, because I know it's automatic. So we need to, for me, the preparation for Europe next year and the new it's got to start the new, because we've got to start thinking ahead now, because we've all done it for years, as we spoke about on here before. The qualifiers, Beaton, Hendry, Beaton, Ayer, no centre backs, and we've got to start, for me, buying better. Obviously, we don't know who the manager's going to be, Jerry, the recruitment, but I think the recruitment's got to be a standard where we kind of had when Rodgers first came in, and it's got to be, as you say, blockbuster. No transfers, but it's got to be a structure where these guys are going to improve and get better.
Aye, that boy for Sheffield Wednesday, he's a midfielder, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sure, aye.
He's coming into the midfield.
Whether he gets a game or not is another question.
Well, whether he plays or no, blah blah blah. But I do. Any other club in the whole entire world, if they were in your position, would know who their manager is by now, would know what's happening, would be setting up for a new season, even though it's coming up for April. Having in mind that the guys are going to be for Euros, having in mind what your team's going to be like in advance. But we'll wait to the 1st of July. We'll be playing on the 7th of July, and as you say, I can guarantee it, pound a penny, if he's still there, Beaton will be playing centre half. The certainty. We'll play a minnows, the minnows for Norway, and we'll draw away from home and we'll scrape through. It happens all the time. It happens all the time, and then we try and scramble a few guys down the line. Before you know it, we're at Champions League, not even August yet, we're back to square one again. So that's going to change an awful Celtic this year. It must.
Do you think Luke O'Connell's got any part to play or not? Somebody was asking me this the other day, and it kind of made me think. I was curious.
I've actually not seen a lot of the boy. I couldn't really comment, but listen, see, it's all cliche. If you're good enough, doesn't matter if you're 19, 29, 39, whatever. If you're good enough, you'll play. And we've in the last 4 or 5 years, we've probably lost more goals this season we have the 4 seasons when the treble put together. I think that's the first thing it's going to stop. The goals are in, because Celtic Football Club will always score goals going that way, but that we've been. So many goals have we lost for set pieces, even the Rangers goal.
Actually,
it's
something stupid, I think. It's something daft, I forget.
Actually text Brian right after the game, listening to Martin O'Neill. Did you hear what Martin O'Neill said?
Oh, it was funny on that.
He says, don't get me wrong, he had Bobo Baldi, right? But he said, I had Bobo Baldi, he didn't mark Andy, he stood in the penalty spot, watched the fight the ball, and 9 times out of 10 they win the ball. And Chris Boy says, and then we'll talk about him, and he said, I've had any players on the post. He says, because I knew Baldi was going to win the ball, and I had 3 guys the edge of the box, bang, I had 1 up the tap. So I basically had 4 guys to go in a counter attack. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe just say to Big, if he stays Big Iron or Welsh, you stand there right in the middle of the box, watch the flight of the ball, end it comes near you, they're out the road, and just going. Even if you don't win the ball, you're still up challenging. I just think we're too many free headers. Even let's just go back to the Rangers goal. That boy, free header, don't get me wrong. If he'd had it anywhere else, he wouldn't have scored. But put it in there, I always say, if you're going to hit it, flick it into the back post, there's always going to be somebody there. It was there, you know what I mean? But it just
needs. Have we not conceded something like 26 goals or something this season, or something stupid like that?
Oh, it's treble. I think we've done 2 years ago anyway.
See Europa League, Dundalk were the only team to concede less goals than us. Dundalk. And until the last game, Arsenal pumped them 5-0, and we were the worst defence in the whole in the Europa League. And you look at the amount of dross that's in that. You know what I mean? Well, we lost 4 goals 4 times. I say to myself, Jesus. Dundalk was the only team to concede. That was the start that I thought, wow, that's really grim, by the way. 6 games as well, and Dundalk conceded less than you. That was the only team.
See, I don't know what it is with Celtic. Even when you're talking about O'Neill's team get beat off some utter shit as well. Really? And they had Boharin, Baldi, but they had guys, as you say, the guys up front who are big, strong, physical, and you knew you were always going to have a chance with the guys up front. But defensively, I don't know what it is with us. For even, I know under Stratton we done well when we got in the last 16, but even defensively we were very average with him. Obviously, nobody's a damn squad that season, you can forget. But with Dyer, even with Van Dijk and Denier, we weren't the best either. I don't know what it, with Rodgers, we first came in, obviously, the Invincible season, we were fantastic, but in Europe, we were one of the best. But obviously, Europe's a different kettle of fish. But I just, as you say, we definitely need to, obviously, regarding Scott Brown, we don't know if he spoke to the manager, if it is already in place, because the one with Rodgers was quiet. We didn't know until he got announced that day it was happening. Nobody heard, unless, I don't know, people heard rumours and they didn't see it, but I can't even mind them even in the betting. I can't even mind them in the top front of the betting. I never heard anything about them. So is it the same this time? Celtic want to keep it quiet and then just for talking shit to win the Scottish Cup, right, and go right, boom, there's a new manager. Or everything's on Celtic again. They've won the league, but it's back on us again because even Rangers beat us in the semi-final. The semi-final beat us, wasn't it? I think a few weeks later it was Rodgers was announced or something. Everett was back on us again. It was, I know they've just beat us, but boom. And I still think, I know they've won the league, but if we announce, if it is an Eddie Howe, if it is a Lucien Favre, as a Benitez, whoever it is, if it is a blockbuster name, Everett is going to get back on us again. Boom, Celtic back, it's Celtic again. Everything's who are they going to sign, who are they going to bring in? And I think Rangers are going to actually wait to see what we do first. I generally think they'll wait to see who we get, and then they'll go, right, what are we going to spend here? Because we all know people can say, oh, they'll get this and that. They're fucking skint. They've signed 2 guys in free transfers. So it's, I think.
And they're not going to get money for you know who if he leaves. So we'll not get much for him.
Right. So for me, we've got to. I think it just depends on obviously who the new manager comes in, and then obviously with Mackay, we don't know how involved it's going to be with us. So we just need to hope that it is sorted soon, because I think us fans, I know we're having a bit of banter about it's Eddie Howe. We're saying, how do you like your sausage in the morning? How do you like your bacon in the morning? So we're all having a bit of banter with the Twitter and Facebook, but in a way we're getting frustrated because we're kind of like, right, I know we've still got a Scottish Cup to play for, and we've still got something to play for, but we kind of want to know before obviously the season books come out who the manager's going to be.
I think we need to, because, well, they need to either announce a director of football or a manager, because I'm not saying it applies to me, but there'll be a lot of fans that maybe are waiting to see before they obviously pay the money, which, you know, that's understandable, waiting to see before they pay the money, because they're not going to go watch another season like this one. I mean, don't even get me started. But like, I would like to think if, for example, a new manager got announced soonish, that the players who are in that team might actually think, shit, I need to get my finger out and play well for this guy, or else I'm going to be out the door rapid. I mean, I know I've mentioned Griffiths briefly. I'm taking him out of the equation because that might be a different decision. That's maybe not a football decision. That's maybe a personal one. But, you know, if you're a Yeti, you know Edward's probably going to leave. You know that we spent £5 million on him. I know he's young still. You may be thinking, oh, all right, okay, maybe I should get my head out my rear end here and actually do something. He might not do masses in the Scottish Cup games and to the rest of the season, but he might do enough that the manager might go, right, he's actually got something. I'm just using him as an example. It's just...
It's definitely a process, I think, that's going to get ended soon. As you say, Jerry, we're the only club that do everything last minute, and I know
we need to say something.
I know it takes a process, Jerry, to get guys in the door, and obviously we mentioned Claire about obviously Celtic getting deals done. Sometimes they're very slow, but I understand we've got to get this one right, Jerry, because as we say, if we win the league next year, we're into the Champions League, and for me, that's going to put us 2 or 3 years ahead of Rangers right away again, because you're getting 30 million guaranteed. Players will want to come to you. It's a big selling point. They're going to play at least 6 games in Europe against maybe 3 top teams, and it might put aim again. They might go, right, if I come to Celtic, sign a 2 to 3 year deal, play a good season, play against Man City, Arsenal, whoever it is, I might get a bigger move. As Claire says, we're always going to be a kind of bit of a stepping stone, as much as us fans don't see it as that. These guys, they see it as that, and at the end of the day, Celtic's a business as much as it's our club. Celtic are a business, and the business has run really well, so we need to have credit's due when it comes to that. But I think, Jerry, that's the way it's going to be. We've got to start planning, and hopefully next year, Europe, Champions League, it is a big selling point for any, especially if it is a new manager. I could be in a year's time, I could be in Europe. So it is a big selling point.
Oh, definitely. And I think us fans deserve a decent run. Getting Paradise back as Paradise, no St Mirren turning up and turning his air and different things like that. I mean, it all goes back to empty stadiums for me. I think it's killed us for the get-go this year, but hey ho, that's for another day, another story. But I definitely agree with you. I think the big pull for any player is Champions League. It's the creme de la creme in it. If you want to, the old steps stone, it could get you even a good 18 months domestically, and you'd notched a goal against Man City or Real Madrid or whatever. And, hold on a minute, this guy's all right.
Exactly what Frimpong's done. He's came in and buggered right off and went. I mean, maybe not in the same way, but he's come in and went, oh, right, catch it.
Aye, definitely. You're right. He's come in and he's made an impact, and he's got himself a move. But I think if you're there and you're guys like going back to Ayer and Tumbo and guys like that, you should be saying to yourself, look, I'm going to try and put myself to be a starter every game here, because if we win the league next year, we're back into Europe. We get a wee run. Then obviously that puts their price tag up as well. I mean, he's good to be signing for $3 million. He could go good season next year. Plays well in the Champions League up to January the following year. Good, as I say, he's good 18 months. Could end up going away 15, 16 million down to don't know, just say an Aston Villa, for example, or a Wolves or something like that. You know what I mean? So these guys have got to take these guys have got to stand up now and be counted, the ones that will be there next year, and obviously the ones that come in, they've got to be A, obviously good enough, and B, willing to try and re-salvage something, regroup, re-get us all, re-get all the fans, rejuvenate it. Like you just says, it's going to be new background at Celtic, new manager. There's going to be a lot of new players. Hopefully it's going to be an exciting time for us. Hopefully for the fans back in the stadium. Hopefully that will get us all buzzing again.
Would you keep Jack Hendry? I need to ask. It's been on my mind all night.
Me personally, no, because it's a nightmare. Other night for Scotland, you get half after 45 minutes. I know he's playing well for Belgium, but what standards is Belgium? Anderlecht and Standard Liège, the two top teams. Is it a good standard? I don't know. I'm not going to lie, I've hardly seen Jack Hendry this season, so I don't know how well he's playing. But
I'm just thinking as a
backup.
You know, Celtic like a cheap option, put it that way. That's all I'm saying. We like a cheap option.
My opinion on Jack Hendry, I think maybe for his own career, I think it'd be best to go elsewhere and do what he's doing. Because I think, if it comes to Celtic, you could get, you know what fans are like, to make you a bit of abuse and a bit of, you're shite, you've fucking one mistake again, and it could be away again. So I think for him, maybe his own career, I think he's better off just playing every week with that team. I don't know if they've got an option to buy on him first up. So me personally, Claire, I think we've got to start looking better now.
No, I was just curious.
That's just my opinion. I don't know you think, Jerry, about Hendry.
I think the guy's got all the attributes to be a good defender and all. I mean, strong, tall, can get a bit of pace about him, but just doesn't seem to, like you're talking about. I watched, who was it? Who were they playing? It was either one of the bigger teams in Belgium, Standard Liège, or was it Ghent, whatever the ones. It's one of the main ones anyway. Highlights, because it was on Eurosport or something, but it was Belgian thing, and he actually done no too bad. And then I watched him against Austria. I don't get me wrong, that guy up front was 6'7" or something.
He was a pain in the arse to play against.
McFadden said it in the commentary. The heater, it's a free heater. And the woman went, you got to give him a bit, 6'7". And McFadden says, but can he not jump? no come off the line. He might have, don't get me wrong, he might have scored, but he was maybe about 2 or 3 yards off the guy. And to me, you can't exactly miss him. I mean, he's 6'7".
Suppose he could have tried harder, is what you're saying. Like,
And I put him, and that's maybe gone back to the Celtic this year. We've not been getting about teams and them, as you say, boys into the box. So it's like we're scared to go and just put your arm out. He did it, take anybody with you. Because 9 times out of 10 in your own box, you're not going to get a foul against you. Maybe going to attack it and knock somebody out, you're going to get a foul every day of the week. But you get the benefit that your own box, just go up, being strong. Like I say, you don't need to win the ball, just go up and be a nuisance. As if it's been far too easy for teams to come to Parkhead. Like I was saying earlier, we need to get that back as well. Like fortress is a word. I mean, I think we've lost or drew. I mean, I think we've actually won a lot of games this year at home.
Drew more games at home or something than
that's amazing. Even in Europe, like Leo. I mean, it was the 6th game. It was like a dead rubber anyway. Took 4 points off Leo. You know what I mean? They were sitting second in the French league. 16 goals in 4 games between AC and Sparta Prague. So
what's your opinion with Hendrick? No.
Do you know? I can't help but think we'll try and wangle him back just because he's a cheaper option, and like what Jerry's saying, money might be tight and all that kind of shit. And the only thing I would say is he did say in an interview, I think it was before the Austria game, he got interviewed and he said something and he was like, I'm more suited. He said he was more suited to a back 3 than a back 4. And I was just like, right, so you're shite because you can only play in one formation. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like that because it's like you're clearly just a one trick pony, but I've got this feeling that Celtic are going to need to be seen as loyal to him and try and make him better and take him back. And I can't help but think that we'll go down that route. But I mean, he was all right against Austria, like what Jerry said. He was okay. He did not jump high enough for that goal, but to be fair enough. But
because as we says about him saying about he can only play in a back 3, but what happens if Celtic play a 5-4-1 next year?
Exactly.
If we play a 4-2-4-2 again, you've got to.
I don't know if it was a nod at Keane though, because O'Neill liked to play a back 3. I don't know if that was a nod at saying, "Come and get me here. I'm happy to play for you." But you know, that's me reading way between the lines there. But you know, I don't know. You go back to what you said about the rebuild. Where even do you start? Like realistically, where do you even start?
Because for me, Jerry, it's got to be, as I've spoken about for months, we've got to have a structure where, because obviously a lot of youth players have been out on loan the last few weeks. So again, as a young manager going in and he's going out again, he's wanting them out to get experience. We don't know, but for me, I've spoken about for months. The youth system it's got to play the similar way as the first team. If we're playing 4-4-2, then the development play 4-4-2, and then it's got to be, for me, it's got to go. There's got to be a way to the first team where, like, see, I spoke about it. I've been texting Robert and I know about it, but see when we played against Hibs and Livingston when we were depleted with Dubai. Obviously, the game against Hibs, Harper and Flex and that came in. For the youth guys, they could be quality players, but you seen the difference in standard, didn't you? Yeah, they were getting shoved off the ball, and it was like they were lost puppies on the park. And again, I think that for me, Jay, that comes from the structure not being right and no doing the same stuff that the first team did. Because I think there's going to be, I think Harper says he left because he didn't see a pathway to the first team. And for me, for a club like Celtic, that's not good enough. The guys, there should be at least 1 or 2 youth players that can come in and go, right, boom, play. They've got to come in and play because Celtic, as we've spoken about, they've got this big Lennox facility. They say they've got that brilliant youth system. Well, who was the last youth player that came through fully and played for us, maybe? Tierney. So we've got to start bleeding guys in, and I don't think, as you say, if they're young enough and they're good enough, then play them.
I do agree with you. If it's for talk's sake, it's a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2, whatever. If young boy Flex for talk's sake plays centre mid in a 4-2-3-1 with the youth system, then he comes in and plays a 4-4-2, a solid 4. he's used to guys in front of him and beside him, round about him, instead of just a straight four. So right away, he's on the park and going, oh, I'm used to a guy there, I'm used to a guy there. He's totally out his depth right away. Whereas if he plays in the same position, he knows automatically, like, I've got a guy to the left of me and a guy to the right of me. I've got a guy sit beside me. And obviously, if in doubt, you can always use the ball doing channels or whatever. There's always ways round about it. But at the basis of it, you know, oh no, I do need to look up here. I know my right side and the diamond's there, the left side guy's there, and whereas in the 4-4-2 you've got, wait a minute, you've got a long way to get to the tap two. You know what I mean? So, and I think that will come down to the new manager as well, whether his formation that he decides or whatever he plays will defy what guys we buy. Whether it's a 4-2-3-1, the one guy up front, does he bring in a big wall puncher, big target man? You know what I mean? For Tonksy, the big boy played with Austria, something like him. You just feed balls into all day, or do you play a 3-5-2 and you've got a lot of pace in the wing? It's going to need to be, obviously he'll have his own way of playing, so it'll define what new guys we bring in as well. But I definitely agree with you, right across the board for under 13s right through, you get taught how to play, basically how to play Celtic football. It should be just like, this is it. You know, there's no other option. You just play that way. Everybody knows where they're on the pitch. Obviously, you'll tweak things during games, blah, blah, blah. Different ways you'll play against different teams, but the basis it should be for right across for the first walk in, the 12-year-old right up to hopefully they play in the first team, definitely.
Because I'm sure, Claire, that I think Holland, the Netherlands and Germany, I think they do that, don't they? I think they play everybody's. I think in Holland, I don't know if it's still there, but years ago they used to have, you played in goals, you played right back, you played at the back, you played every position. So then they found out where you are. But I think they've got a massive structure when it comes to the youths. You've seen the Ajax model there, the youth boys, and as soon as they're 17, 18, boom, they're in the first team. I understand we've not got the money and all that, but surely we've got the coaches, and you've got a decent young Scottish talent or a foreign talent, Claire, that can be coached into a first team player, and like your McGiddies and your Forrests, your Tierneys, can play a few games in the first team and then boom, they're right in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't turn around and say that Celtic haven't got the capabilities to do that, because you said it yourself, you've got Lennoxtown, you've got the facilities. Yeah, we might not. I'm not saying Ajax have got a shit ton of money. I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, but you should model yourself kind of on the way they've done it. And I had alarm bells when Harper said what he said about not having a path to the first team. I mean, I look back, McGiddy was doing a podcast somewhere, and he said, I think it was with Simon Ferry or something, and I think Simon said when McGiddy came in, he's like, it was just ridiculous. Like, ridiculous, so what? These young guys need to be ridiculous to even get a sniff of any kind of special treatment, any kind of route into the first team. I mean, I'm saying give them, like what Jerry's saying, give them a chance, drill them into playing the Celtic football and keep them in that until, like, see how you might see more of them come forward that way. I don't know. I think with the youth and the reserves and whatever else, maybe it is too wishy-washy down there, and that is the problem. They're not getting I need to go back again what Jerry said, the Celtic football, they're just getting drilled in shape and getting drilled in different little bits rather than the full kind of outlook of it. I think that's where Brown could have probably done a really good job. A bit late now to say that, but
because I've for a long time, I think it's been about September time, I've been speaking about obviously your Leipzig models, your Ajax models. My alarm bells was obviously Ferencváros, and I knew that this season was going to be a whimper. That's how on this we started talking about the different structures. For me, Celtics, the model we've got's worked, but now it's not working, and we've got the structure for tap to bottom, as you say, Jerry. And I think one reason that could help is if this kind of coach league goes ahead, because you've listened to obviously ex-players talking in podcasts and speakers nights and whatever else, and they all say the best time of life and what they learned was playing with first team players in the reserves. Simon Ferry speaks about it a lot in his podcasts, and Kevin Kyle, all these guys all speak about it when they played against men. We played with Paul Lambert, Celtic, you played with fucking Chris Sutton and reserves when they're coming in through their injuries, and I think that's what's missing because these guys aren't playing against men, and I think that's why even when they get shipped out on loan, look at Will O'Connell, he's got to Queen's Park, right? But Queen's Park are like the best team in that league, so is he going to get kicked off the park? No, because they're going to have the ball time and they're going to be playing passes. But I think it's going to happen very often. If it means Celtic need to send 7 or 8 players out every year to 3 or 4 clubs to get experience, I think they've got to do it. But I think they've got to do it in a way where they're going to get the experience. If it means sending them to fucking junior teams, do it. Because I think that they're going to benefit from playing against men because there's only so many friendlies and development games you can play against, and the fact they're playing against their own level and they're getting experience, they're getting fitness in game time, but they're not getting experience, they're getting kicked off the park, elbowed. Listen, you need to toughen up, and I think it's only going to stand them in good stead if that happens, Jerry.
Well, when I had my time at Hamilton, Lennoxtown hadn't long opened to me, played Celtic in the reserve game up there with the first team, and I played the last half an hour. And I don't even remember the centre half. He went to Southampton after it. Hullerveld played with Celtic.
The centre back. Aye.
Big fucking tall boy. He made a corner, and I was standing at the edge of the box, and I kind of sauntered in, and I was obviously looking at the ball, and this obviously it was Hullerveld, so I've just went to do that turn to make a move, and I'm not joking, I ran into the guy, and I fucking basically nearly sparked myself out, man. This guy was like, I looked up, it was like a man mountain, you know what I mean? And that just was like, this is the difference for running into a 17-year-old boy to I don't know what age he was then, just say a 30-year-old guy. And he was like, whoa, look at the size of this guy, you know what I mean? And there was wee bits in games like that, when I played in them, it was like, somebody would do something, and you would think to yourself, how does he know how to do that?
Aye.
How does he know to be there before the ball's there? And then you would, when I was playing, you would watch, you would just see, you look at guys who you thought were good, and they knew where that pass was going, 3 passes in advance, they knew where to be, and that's what we've been missing this year and all. With Rodgers, we had runners going left, right, centre. These guys, we had runners with guys like Sinclair who knew where to be, 3 passes in advance, whereas now we're just pass it back, go square, go back to the keeper, to the left back, you know what I mean? I believe go back to the structure thing, we need to have a fresh impetus of how to play football again. No point in strutting it back to the basics, that doesn't win you nothing. I mean, pass, keep the ball, but we've got to go forward, and it obviously a lot better pacing than it have been. You talk about the Ajaxes and the Leipzig guys, these guys are like robots. They know where to be on the foot. There's like these Subbuteo players, you can pick them up, put them there. They know exactly where to be all the time, and that's to make it a good team. You know where to be. Even how many times you've seen it this year when the ball has into the box, Edward's fucking a mile off it.
No.
Because last year he knew, even that one in the Rangers game, any time you see him slide in, put it in the net, as if he's scared he knows where to be, he's just scared. I mean, or he's not been getting the quality he has been getting, so he's like, I'm just going to stand there and I'm not going to get the ball, you know what I mean? But that's making a good team. Everybody knows where they are. Play the ball, and obviously, I actually had a conversation with a guy in my work the other day. More importantly, after the ball, you need to know where to be, because that's how we're getting fun out. Left, right, that's how we're losing all these goals. We don't know defensively, we don't know where to be. You know what I mean?
Definitely for me, after the ball, we've been shit all season. We've been shocking all season after the ball. We're missing runners, even guys like Callum McGregor, they've been
running past you.
Aye, and as you say,
that's what we were doing.
It's frustrating seeing that, because you're like, why is this happening? Again, and for me, that all comes through England. Everything that comes through, that's what you, obviously you know that in general as a football player, but it's England, we played football, Jerry. I don't know if you ever play football yourself, the girls' football.
I was going to just leave you to it. I did actually, but I'll leave you to discuss it.
No, but as I said, I don't know how it is different when obviously at girls' level, if that is a big thing, kind of off the ball possession. But when it comes to, for me, when I played, I done a lot of work off. My game was running after the ball, pressing high. I think because I thought I was quite fit, and me as a striker, Jerry, like yourself, if I was a coach, I'd always want my teams to press high, press, and I think that's when Rodgers first came in. That's the way we were. The press was fucking Sinclair, you Dembele, even Griffiths was pressing. I think we're missing that this season. We're missing that high press intensity play.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they don't. Oh, I hate saying this. I'm not saying it's COVID's fault. They've not had the bonding, they've not had the understanding, they've not had the time with each other. They've not, all right. But a lot of these players have played together for more than just this season. So they should know where they are without the ball, and they should know how the other people think. I mean, some of them do. You can see that some of them know how each other, but that's not good enough. Like what Jerry's saying, you need to be able to know where everybody is when they've not got the ball and when they do. I mean, I'm watching Czech Republic run small rings around Wales right now, and it's like what you said about Slavia Prague and Czech teams. I mean, God, we play the Czech Republic and whenever it is June, and no thanks. Don't know if I'd overly want to do that, but they're a team that know where they're an international team that know where everybody is, and it's all very well a club team that you know that as well, and we have an international team with that understanding. We don't have anywhere near that. I mean, I think you'll see a difference in McGregor. I think when Forrest comes back, I don't know why I think this. I just think because they've kind of came through together. They have been together since they've been maybe 14 or whatever, 13. I don't know. Okay, 10.
She's out ball, isn't it?
Well, I'm just thinking it might make things a wee bit.
He's actually out ball. He's a right hand side left peg. It's the automatic switch. You're right. It's maybe that's wee things like that. It's missing as well. You know what I mean?
Small things that might make a bigger difference than when you look at the team.
100%. Even coming for like a voice behind you, like a goalkeeper. Remember we spoke about it with the was it Kilmarnock game when he came out for Taylor?
Aye.
Playing all day long, and I had to tell you up at 100. I rewind it, tell you up at 100. Couldn't hear him. Well, you should be. It's not in the stadium. He should be screaming for that ball. You know what I mean? Even we stupid things like that. A commanding goalkeeper just eases everybody. You know what I mean? Just says we things make obviously a lot of difference, and I think, like said that there with McGregor, as you says, it might just be gets out of his feet. He seems to be. See, you watch McGregor, and he also seems to be lacks out the pass, tails the pass. There's no. But whereas before he was trying to search for wee Forrest.
Predict what McGregor's going to do this season. Like there's same with a lot of them. To be fair, I mean you can predict what Ayer's different because he does the runs that he goes on and
big mazes. I know, aye.
But Welsh is starting to be a bit predictable as well. I've noticed he's doing the same passes as well, and maybe he's nervous. Maybe he's a bit like, fuck, I need to cement myself in this team or whatever. But if he's still doing that 6-8 months down the line, I'm going to question it then.
Aye.
If he's still in the team.
Well, speaking back to just when you're talking about being predictable, I watched obviously it was Ibrahimovic in your team, you're going to have a chance, but Lustig, I watched him, he was nipping into the midfielders and back, and he just put one in the corner, and Ibrahimovic backheeled it to the boy, and they scored. He took it down in his chest and he put it back to him. And it's just even a wee ball at 30 yards, just in the corner, into a space for somebody to go and run onto. I mean, we don't even. Whereas 2 or 3 years ago, you were putting it in there and you were seeing Forrest going down one side, Sinclair going down the other side. That was your out ball if you were in trouble. As you say, we turn round and we go back to goalie now. It's like. And what that does is get everybody behind the ball for the other team. They're all set up and they're going, right, we're in the position now, coming back is doing. Whereas if you put that ball in there, the defence are going back towards the same goal where they don't want to go. With a guy like Edward or wee Forrest chasing the ball down, you know what I mean? It automatically brings the whole Celtic team up. Tumble goes up another 10 yards. Christie goes up another 10 yards. Whereas before you'd Christie coming into the middle of the middle of the D, trying to get the ball to make things happen. That's not where he should be. He should be at the edge of the penalty spot, edge of the penalty D, the centre circle. You know what I mean? It was just so, going back to that word again, dead predictable. You knew who was going to pass to who. I mean,
and then obviously cleared. The manager situation again, it's heating up like all the time. But obviously, we've spoke about a new interest today. The guy for Dortmund, looking Favre. You've got rumours about Roy Keane. For me, no chance. Eddie Howe, we've spoken about. For me, he's the number one guy. If obviously it could be somebody else we don't know about, like it was the Rodgers. But what's your stance? Has it changed, or are you still kind of thinking the same kind of opinion?
Or he's still there, but no, realistically speaking, Thierry Henry, no thank you. I'm sorry, not experienced enough. Like, obviously, he's your not blockbuster appointment, he's your sort of fancy appointment, he's your like bigger name, but he's not got a rep of being a decent manager. Roy Keane win percentage, I think, was something like 46% when he was a manager, which is a wee bit shit. From a business point of view, from a long-term point of view, how is your better choice? I think. I don't know if the rumours are true that Desmond spoke to Keane and the other guy spoke to Howe. I don't know if this is where the split is. The fact that Mackay's thinking business long-term, and Desmond obviously knows Keane or whatever situation goes on there. But I agree with you. What you're saying, Howe probably is the best choice if you're looking a wee bit. You're not looking at a manager that's going to, all right, well, maybe a stepping stone for him to a point, but he's not going to bugger off after a year. None of this rolling contract, right? Get him tied down for 3 years, get him in and keep him there and say, right, we want to be here in 3 years' time. There's money go type thing. But I think Eddie Howe's more likely to get on with director of football as well than Keane would be. I think, because you know what Keane's like personality-wise, I think he'd be very difficult to get on with. Yeah. I don't know. I could be wrong. But Howe seems a bit more likely to be more open-minded to the prospect of a director of football coming in.
What about yourself, Jerry?
I'm still with Howe overall.
I'm the same.
How for me as well. But my wee one that I would my heart's saying the only thing it's probably ever going to stop this is he's the manager of the best team in the world now, Belgium. Martinez, I love Martinez alongside Maloney. I just think that from a long shot type thing. But I think the only thing it's not going to stop that is he's in charge of best team in the world.
Belgium have just scored 2 goals in 3 minutes, by the way. Just
well, you want to rest my case, but as I said, well, you know what I mean. That's
never happens now.
I know what I'll do. I'll leave Kevin De Bruyne and I'll come and manage Scott. What do you call
Scott Bain?
Aye, guys like that. I mean, so, but that I think how even everybody says English Premier League's the best league in the world. Blah blah blah. He's not going to get a big 6 job, and arguably bigger than Celtic down there. Man United as a club, maybe Man City. No what history, blah blah blah. But you're talking colossal size. So he's not going to get a Chelsea job or a Spurs or whatever. So I think coming with fresh ideas, he'll be going along with as you say. I think he will be a wee bit more understanding with a director of football rather than guys like Keane who'll just walk in and start shooting the ball. I think that's the way he likes to work. But as I said, how definitely for me would be excellent. Hopefully we don't eat.
I am the same as the two of you. For me, he's only one. It's out of all the rumours and what's sitting out. The guys have been maybe real much interested. For me, he's a man. Just having about the way he talks about football. I said my piece already, how, but for me it is how. The last word for me is Scott Brown. I think I'm kind of a bit gutted he's gone. It's a massive hole, in my opinion. I think some Celtic fans might realise when he's finished at Celtic how big a career he's actually had. I think fans outside of Celtic will realise he's actually a really good football player. Not just that, he's obviously a good guy because he's been at Celtic for years. He's been a captain, so he's obviously got a good personality and he's a genuine good guy. He's as a as a kind of human being. So again, what you brought to Celtic's massive. Still got a few games to go. Hopefully we send them off, win the Scottish Cup and have a good end to the season. But for me, it's a big hole to kind of take over. I hope we get somebody to come in and the new manager brings somebody else in. But again, thanks for your time, Claire, Jerry. As I say, thanks for coming on. Keep well, and hopefully we'll find out soon with the expectation of your manager. But again, thanks for your time and take care.
Right, mate.
Thank you.
Right.